Hello, 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 and welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Israel Rivera, and there goes my colleague there, Matt James. Matt, will you unmute your mic here? I'm trying to unmute your mic, buddy, because it's been a while. It's been a while, man. It's been a while. And welcome to the show, everybody, here with the uh, college football showdown season preview for the 2022-2023 season. And college football is right around the corner. First week of the season starts in a couple weeks, August 27th. But before that, everybody go please like, share, and subscribe the podcast. We're there on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And like David says, and as I always say, hey, we go live 5 to 6 times a week. So always catch Prime Sports World. We're dropping the heat every single day, 24/7. So keep posted here with Prime Sports World. But how you doing, Matt?
Doing well, man. Saturday night. Can't argue with that outside of the fact that we still have, 2 more weeks until we get these games kicked off. So actually next week we start going with week 0, but we get our major matchups in a couple weeks here, which we'll go over. So getting excited. Preseason NFL is starting. College football's coming up. Got us some high school action. My favorite time of the year. So
no, definitely is the favorite time of the year here, and we got a lot to cover. I kicked it off college football season. My college football season. I started off at the College Football Hall of Fame in Atlanta, which I'm going to go over my College Football Hall of Fame experience. We got a lot to cover. Our top 25. The conference predictions that we have, Heisman candidates. Usually we do a top 5 and a couple dark horses, and then we got the CFP predictions, college football playoff predictions, to end the show. So let's get right into it, Matt. We got a lot to talk about here. Starting first with my college football Hall of Fame experience. I got a little show here to show everybody. It was an amazing experience. If everybody doesn't know, man, everybody go and check out if you're in Atlanta, Georgia, that is like one of the sites to see. I mean, the College Football Hall of Fame, it was one of the coolest things that I've ever seen or been a part of. And it's going to be me kind of like rambling on a little bit. Matt might chime in a little bit. But everybody knows that's kind of been down there in Atlanta. You got the Georgia Aquarium, you got the World of Coca-Cola, you got a few other attractions there. They got the big Ferris wheel and everything that looks over the city. But one of the big attractions, one of the big attractions is the College Football Hall of Fame. It's right there, nestled right there in that little space right there where everything's at, right there by the Olympic Park, and it's right there down the street, actually by the from the Mercedes-Benz Dome stadium as well, where the Atlanta Falcons play. So it's all right there in that same little complex right there. So everybody, I advise you to go check it out because it is one of the coolest experiences that I've ever been a part of. And I'm going to go ahead and just show you some pictures of my experience. That's me. That's when you come into the College Football Hall of Fame. They got like this thing right there. I'm over here thinking I'm cool and pose right there. I'm over here posing because I am a real fan of college football. Everybody knows that, man. I love football. I do football 24/7. And what's cool about it is, this is one of the exhibits that they have, for the band and the fans. This is Texas A&M band right here. But one of the coolest things right here. So when you go in there, they make you sign. And you know what? I should have brought my little badge thing that they have. But they have this badge thing where it has a QR code and you register it, and you register your school and your name and everything. And every time you go up to like one of these little kiosks, it just automatically says, "Hi, Israel," and it pulls up your school's info and the legends or whatever the kiosk pertains to. And this right here is like the original kiosk. Like when it comes, they tell you to go up and go up to this one kiosk after you register. And this is, my alma mater is NIU. And it pops up all the NIU pictures and stuff like that. And it was so cool to be a part of, honestly. Here goes a picture of Notre Dame's mascot right there. Real old schoolish, man. This was really cool, man. There goes me right there standing next to a guy that's probably like 6 foot 6'3" right here. Give me 1 second here, guys. Give me 1 second here, guys. Real quick timeout here. All right, and we're back. So that guy right there, 6'4" guy right there. It's like he's in an Auburn suit. It's a mannequin, or whatever the case is. But he's right there. I'm about right there, about 6 foot right there. So you see how big that guy is. You see how big I am. I'm a former football player. This is really cool right here. Old football uniforms. They had a section where like they had the old football uniforms and how the college uniforms have kind of progressed throughout the years from the 20s to the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. So this is really cool. They called it like the terror. These are the old pads. You see these old pads right here up there. Those are like the original pads down to like what they're wearing now. The old school helmets. Look at this, that little weird helmet right there with the little schnoz right there. That was like really interesting right there, right? They had the old leather helmets right here, all the way down to the helmets that they use now, right? And then the uniforms, right? They had the uniforms where they kind of explained and went over the tear wear uniforms like back in the day, like the cloth uniforms that they used to wear. You see those cloth kind of uniforms. Then they had the tear wear uniforms where it's like easy to like pull down a person and stuff like that. Back in the day, in like the 70s and 80s, to like now, to where everything's more tight fitting and more sleek, to where it's like a lot like you really have to tackle somebody. You can't really just pull somebody down by the uniform like it used to do. And then here's just like a couple nitpicks of rivalries. They had like a section of like rivalries and who's you can pick like certain schools. They didn't have my school. It was so funny. They didn't have my school. They didn't have NIU, and there was a part where it was you could sing your school's um you could sing your school's fight song. They didn't have NIU, but they had Western Michigan. So disrespectful
Oh,
because we win the MAC damn near every year. So this shows like some rivalry pictures. There goes a case for Mr. Steve McNair. Rest in peace, Steve McNair, Air McNair. He was the first team all conference. He was one of the best players to come out of the SWAC, out of Alcorn State. They had a whole exhibit for the HBCUs as well. Here goes the Eddie Robinson Trophy, Coach of the Year trophy right here. As long as and they had like the whole trophy case with all the trophies. So they had like the Coach of the Year. They had the CFP, the Heisman, every trophy, Outland Trophy, everything there. There's the trophy case. There goes two generations right there of Mannings. You got Eli and you got Archie in there, right? I thought that was cool. There goes the Heisman Trophy that I was just talking about. There goes the CFP trophy that I actually used in one of the slides here. So there goes the CFP trophy, the actual CFP trophy that they used. And if you guys are looking at my photos, I kind of blew them up in the slide, so they kind of like distorted a little bit, but they still look good. This is the MacArthur Bowl. This is given to the best team in the nation. So this is given to like the most outstanding team that they have in the nation in college football. This is Bobby Dodd's uniform right here when he went to the University of Tennessee. You got the Bobby Dodd Trophy. There goes me posing next to NIU, represent to NIU right there. There goes a nice collage right there of beautiful picture, man. I wish I could steal that picture, but nonetheless, that was some great artwork when you first come into the College Football Hall of Fame. You see Bear Bryant there, you see Joe Montana, you see a bunch of guys, you see Elway, you see Jim Brown, you see a bunch of guys here that played in college football over the years. And then there goes me posing next to all the helmets. They had all the helmets in FB in all the college football, FCS and FBS. So that was really cool to see as well. So yeah, that was my college football experience. It was one of the best things that I've been a part of or went to. It was really cool, and I think everybody should go ahead and go down. If they're down there in Atlanta, you go see the College Football Hall of Fame because it was definitely a treat to be a part of. But anyways, that was my College Football Hall of Fame experience. Um, just to kick off college football, I had to do that. But next, we got the Prime Sports World preseason top 25, and the top 25 doesn't come out till Monday, if I'm not mistaken, the official top 25. So this is my preseason
Hmm.
top 25. I don't know if Matt, do you have your preseason top 25 kind of waiting in the realms here?
It's waiting the rounds right now. I'll have an official one probably by next
By
week.
next week. Well, yeah. Well, this is the one
Yeah,
I
before our
composted. This is one I
big
composted
kickoff.
at Prime Sports World. This is the one I composted at Prime Sports World. Number one, we got Bama. Bama has pretty much everybody coming back. They have Bryce Young coming back. Ohio State's number two, C.J. Stroud. Those two teams should be number one and number two all season long. And then Georgia has a lot of talent coming back as well at three. At four, we got Clemson. At five, we got Notre Dame. Six, Michigan. Seven, Texas A&M took a big boost, getting the number one recruiting class in the nation. They got a lot of guys coming back next year too. Utah is a top 10 team. Kind of piggybacking off of the Pac-12. Actually, uh, in my opinion, I think USC is gonna vault their way up higher into the Pac-12 above Utah eventually. I think we'll see both of those teams possibly. And I can't remember if they play in the same. I'll look it up right now. But I think we'll see both of those teams in
Yeah,
the.
they do.
Yeah, we'll see both of those teams. Yeah, in the in the Pac-12 championship down the line. Um, yeah,
Not the
we'll see both of those
championship
teams.
during
Yeah,
the
they
season.
don't have
We'll
they don't
see.
have sides in the Pac-12. So yeah, I think we'll see both of those teams in the Pac-12 championship at the end of the year. In my opinion, that's just me though. That's just
Yeah.
me. And then at number 9, we got Oklahoma. Dylan Gabriel, he was hurt a little bit last year, but he's a top tier. He's a top 100 quarterback. He's a guy waiting in wings. He's a guy that's a Heisman candidate on a lot of guys' lists. Number 10, Baylor. Number 11, Oklahoma State. 12, Oregon. Number 13, NC State. 14, Michigan State. 15, USC. I just mentioned USC. 16, Pitt. 17, Miami. Got 18 number 18, Texas. Texas is interesting. Texas is interesting because they got a Heisman candidate in their own. They got probably the best running back in Bijan Robinson. In the last
Mhm.
couple of years, I know I mentioned, I know I brought up Brees Hall a lot or bring up Brees Hall a lot, but Bijan Robinson is special. He's he's pretty much the next Reggie Bush, kind of next Barry Sanders type of talent right there at Texas. And then at number 19, we got Wake Forest. Number 20, and my boy's still there at Wake Forest. The quarterback Sam Godley, I can't remember his name, but at number 20 we got Wisconsin. Number 21 Kentucky, Will Levis there. At number 22 Cincy, they're taking a step down. Desmond Ritter, a lot of guys. Sauce Gardner went to the NFL. At number 23 Arkansas. I love their quarterback, man. He got a lot of Cam Newton in him. At number 24 Ole Miss, and then rounding out my top 25 is Houston at number 25. So, what do you think about
Yeah.
those rankings, Matt?
For the most part, I would agree with you. There are a few switches I would make overall.
Mm-hmm.
And that quarterback you're trying to name, Sam Howell.
Sam, yeah, no, not Sam Howell. It's
Sam, it's an H. But
Hartman. You got Sam Hartman. Sam Hartman had a
Hartman,
great year
Hartman,
last year.
Hartman.
Yeah,
There's an
Sam
Howell
Hartman.
somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was thinking too. It was like all jumbled up
I
in there.
knew it was an H.
Yeah.
Getting a little bit of cobwebs and rust off here. I mean, for the most part, I like the top four you got. I would have Oklahoma a little higher. Their defense is just going to keep improving, and along with, I
Yeah,
mean,
especially.
they lost a few key offensive players. That's going to be will take time to get going and develop. But that defense, I mean, they're going to run the Big 12 fairly
Yeah,
easily this
I
year unless
expect that
Texas
defense.
takes that true step forward and takes them out in the Red River Classic, but I still
Yeah,
don't think they will.
I expect that
Um,
defense to take a step up with Will Venables coming over from Clemson,
yes,
defensive coordinator, one of the best defensive coordinators in the nation. I expect that defense to take a step up. and being one of the better defenses in the nation. I think he's going to improve them tremendously. I think with the quarterback Dylan Gabriel, they still got a lot of offensive firepower. We'll see. Will Venables is not he's not like the offensive coach that you want out of Oklahoma, but Oklahoma still got Marvin Mims there. Dylan Gabriel, I just mentioned him as well. He was there. Heard he had in 3 seasons at UCF. The kid was a two-time second team All American at Central Florida as a transfer. So Dylan Gabriel is going to be a solid player. They still got a good offensive line, but yeah, that defense is definitely going to be led by by the linebacker there, Deshaun White. So yeah, no, I think Brett Venables is going to have those guys keying up next year. I agree with you on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, rounding out, I like where the top four are. Alabama's going to be tough to knock out there, but watch out for Ohio State. We'll get a more of an analysis as we go along here, so I'm not going to say too much with that. But they do pose to have the best offense, along with a top Heisman candidate in
Yeah,
C.J.
C.J.
Stroud,
Stroud.
along with Henderson, uh, Ngaba, the receiver. I believe that's
Yeah,
his name.
yeah, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Jackson, yeah.
Yeah.
So
He was
watch out
probably
for
their best, and
Ohio.
and it's crazy
That
because out of Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, and we can add Jameson Williams there because
hmm
he came out of Alabama, but he was part of that core too for the last couple years. He's the best out of all of those guys. Out of all of those guys, he is the best, and that's saying something. I mean, last year he had 105 catches. Oh no, not last year, but in 2 seasons. I'm looking up the stats now. He had 105 catches, over 1,600 yards, 15.8 yards per catch. Jackson Smith and Jugba is probably one of the best route runners in Ohio in the nation. So he was probably the best wide receiver out of all of them. But it was close between him and Garrett Wilson, if you
yeah,
ask me.
definitely.
And then you got Travion Henderson still coming back along with C.J. Stroud.
hmm Both
That
of
team
them
is
will
going to be
be top,
solid.
top candidates for
Marvin
Heisman.
Harrison Jr. is is
hmm
is another guy that you got to watch out for this season for Ohio State as well.
So rounding out the top 10 real quick. I mean, I'd had Oklahoma a little higher with that defense. Watch out for Utah and A&M. They're two of my dark horses for possible, at least to make some noise going into the playoff talk. At least mid-season, maybe late season. See how far they both can carry. Notre Dame, I mean, over the years they've always been there. See if they can hold their own. Um, Couple teams outside of there, I would probably drop Oklahoma State a little bit. They had a few key losses. They'll still have a strong showing, but have them dropping closer to USC's spot, maybe. USC, I have dropping a little bit, mainly because their defense. I mean, coming into the Pac 12, they were ranked, I believe, 10th in the pack alone.
Woo,
So
that's
they're going
pretty
to have to
bad.
put a lot of points up again to hold that top 15 spot there.
Yeah,
So, and,
when I look
uh,
at USC, you had a
mhm,
guy like Lincoln Riley. He's
yeah,
never been a great offensive minded coach. He brings over
yeah,
Caleb Williams. We all knew when he went to USC, Caleb Williams was going to follow him there, and um, it's crazy because USC already has some a quarter had a quarterback there, right, when they were coming.
yeah,
So Caleb Williams coming there, Caleb Williams coming there, he's a Heisman candidate right off the bat. I mean, this kid's
mhm,
special. We saw it last season. And so I think Lincoln Riley coming there, he's going to improve that offense. You got Jordan Addison there. But also, you got Travis Dye at the running back position. This is a solid, team. They got a good offensive line, but defensively, they're a little bit of a work in progress. But I think they got some guys on that team, defensively that Lincoln Riley is going to work with that are a little bit better than
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. They'll get there. It's definitely going to be a work in progress, as you mentioned, and will take time for that defense to climb back up into that top 5
Mm-hmm.
in the conference. So it may get there before they head to the Big Ten, and it needs to. I mean, that's going to be huge for them to get that defense going by then. I mean, that's a few years away, but still, you can't let it linger around too long and
And
hang on that offense too much. I mean, it is USC and they can bring in top recruits, but
oh yeah,
they need
oh
that
yeah,
defense to get, its spot going. This is 3 Pac-12 teams in the top 15,
and
and they're number 3 out of them.
they better
So they
get
need
ready
to
too
get
because they're about to
that
go to
defense going.
UCLA going to the Big Ten next year,
Yeah, that's news in itself.
or another couple years, or whatever the case is. 2024, if I'm not mistaken. That's going to be next year.
Yeah, it
So
actually is only a couple years away.
yeah,
So
and then SC fans will tell you defensively. SC fans will tell you. I tell you, they have one of the best defensive tackles. God, let me look up his name. It's Tuli Polotu. If I'm not
yeah,
pronouncing that right. But this
sounds
kid's
like
one
a
of the best
USC
defensive
player.
tackles in the nation. He's a big boy, man. He's 6'4", 290. He'll probably be one of the top interior defensive linemen picked in next year's draft. Last year he's first team all Pac-12. He made 70 tackles with 7.5 sacks and 10 tackles for loss, broken up two passes and forced 2 fumbles, and recovered 1 for a score in his past 2 seasons. So this kid's solid as they come. He's a big time pro prospect. I expect him to anchor that defense in the middle. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah. What else do you notice here in
Rounding
terms
out
of?
the rest of the top 25, I'd have Cincy out due to the major losses they've had.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to compete within their conference, but they're not Cincinnati of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Losing Ritter is huge. I mean, he actually had a nice touchdown drive to win last night's game for Atlanta. So
Mm-hmm.
Houston, I have winning that conference.
Yeah, I could
A
see
little
them winning
preview
that
before we
conference.
go
Yeah.
into it. And Kentucky's going to be very, very tough. They're just stuck in the SEC there. So, but they're definitely a top 25, top 20 team, possibly again. So, Wake Forest, as you mentioned, has Hartman. Texas with Bijan Robinson, who I've talked about Heisman the last couple of years. He'll
Mm-hmm.
be up there, top 3, top 5 again.
Yep.
In my rankings at least. And one of the teams that I actually see that you're missing that we should keep an eye on out of the SEC too is Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
With Hooker as the quarterback, he could make some noise in that Heisman race there. Maybe not top 5, but top 10 at least, and put up some good stats for the Volunteers out
Yeah.
there.
Interesting.
So
Interesting that you say Tennessee, man. They have
I mean,
they
represented a little bit tonight, so
one
gonna.
of they have one of the best quarterbacks. So Arch Manning was gonna go there, right?
Hmm.
But then they ended up signing one of the other top dual threat quarterbacks in the nation. Let me pull it up real quick here. Let me see here. Football. I forget. I forget what his name is, but this kid's phenomenal. Arch had to transfer. Arch had to go from Tennessee to Texas because they signed this kid.
Hendon Hooker.
Huh?
Are we speaking about Hendon Hooker?
No, not Hendon
Oh,
Hooker. No, 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 no,
somebody.
no. We're
Oh,
not talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
Hendon
yeah.
Hooker. I'm talking about
I was gonna
no, I'm talking
say.
about the class of 2024. I'm talking about the class of
Oh,
2024.
future.
We're
Yes,
talking
yes,
about
yes.
yeah, no, oh no, class of 2023. My bad. Godly, let me pull his name up. He's from California. Yeah, because Arch Manning had to commit to Texas because this kid signed with Tennessee. God, Lee, what's his name? Is it? Oh, here it is. It's Nicholas
Yeah,
Iamaleva.
yeah, we'll have to start learning that.
Yeah, yeah, we got to start getting good with these names, man. But yeah, this kid's he's the number 27 ranked player in the nation in the class of 2023, and he's one of the like best pocket passers, man. The kid has a rocket for an arm, but he committed to Tennessee, and Arch was like, nope, I'm going to Texas. No, I'm going to Texas.
Yeah,
But
I'm
yeah,
going
funny
down
that we
south.
brought up Tennessee. I wanted to bring them up. When we talked about them. And then yeah, interesting that you and then Wake Forest. Wake Forest is an interesting team, right? We spoke
Hmm.
about Sam Hartman a little bit, man. Sam Hartman. I'm gonna pull up some of his stats here.
Sam Howell, the kid from North Carolina.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, I
Sam
knew
Howell's the
there
kid
was
from
a
North
Howell
Carolina.
somewhere,
Yeah.
but he was out. He was in the coastal area. Okay.
Yeah, 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 definitely. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well, I
no,
was
Sam
having
Sam
that thing
Hartman.
around my head, like I knew the name from
Yeah, no,
somewhere.
Sam Hartman, man, is as solid as they come.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. I
out of
watched
out
his
of out of Wake Forest. So,
QB1, and he was fun to watch on there. So
oh
if
yeah,
you haven't,
Sam Hartman.
if you
Sam
haven't,
Hartman, man, I've always been a fan of Sam Hartman from
yeah,
from the get go, man. I
if you
think.
haven't had a chance to watch his season, go ahead and watch it. It's a good group there.
Oh
So
yeah, no, I've
Hartman,
always raved
he was
about.
fun
I've
to
always
watch.
raved about. I've always raved about that. I've always raved about that show. You could see Justin Fields on that show,
Hmm.
Sam Hartman's on that show. But let's go over what Sam Hartman did last year at Wake Forest, man. And routes, I believe they had a 10-win season, if I'm not mistaken, last year.
At least
Um,
10.
yeah, it was something around there. They had a 10-win season or whatever case is. No, they had 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, they had about 10 wins. 11-win season. So they were 11. They won
Yeah,
11-3 last season, including well they lost to Pitt in the Gator Bowl. But this
you know.
team was solid as they come, man. Out of the ACC, Wake Forest. They and I don't think they'll be I don't think they'll beat Clemson or anything like that. But I think out of the ACC, I think Wake Forest is definitely a solid top 25 team. And I think that this kid Sam Hartman, I mean, he threw for over 4,000 yards. I mean that's not saying much, like I guess in college football. But Sam Hartman, he was killing it last season for them, and he was a real reason why they took that next step up to win 11 games. So watch out for that team. Watch out for this team, Wake Forest, sneaky team in the ACC. I believe they won the ACC, if I'm not mistaken, last season. Um, if I'm not mistaken. Oh no, Pitt.
Yeah.
Was it Pitt?
And
Pitt won the ACC. Pitt won
another
the
team out of
ACC.
the ACC I
Pitt
want to
won the
mention is
ACC.
NC State.
No, Pitt won the ACC. Pitt won the
No,
ACC.
Pitt won it. Yeah,
Yeah, Pitt won the ACC. They won actually they
with
won their
Kenny
bowl game
Pickett.
though. They won their bowl game though. The Wake
Yeah.
Forest Demon Deacons won their bowl game. But
Oh yeah, Pitt
anyways,
got blown out.
yeah. But
I believe.
anyways, going over. Yeah, they won their bowl. They won their bowl game. They won the Gator Bowl. They lost the ACC championship game. That's when this guy what's his name, the quarterback from Pitt.
Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's when he did that fake slide, and everybody was talking about it. It's like, oh my god, he was killing it, man. But yeah, and then they ended up beating Rutgers in the Gator Bowl. Wake Forest. So yeah,
Yeah.
man, watch out for that team next year, this season.
Yeah,
And
the
then
ACC. I mean, they're going to be a fun conference to watch. As I mean, from your rankings, they got 4 teams, I believe.
yeah, for my rankings, yeah, they got
NC State's
Miami's
going to
in
be
there,
one
Wake
of those
Forest
teams
is
that's
in
going to
there.
cause some problems too. So
Pitt's in there, Clemson's in there, and NC State's in there. That's another
mhm.
ACC team in there. They got 5 teams. They got 5 teams in the ACC in the
Yeah,
top 25, in my opinion. But when it comes down to the thick of things, the SEC is the king of college football. if you ask me, right? But let's
Yeah.
talk about Clemson a little bit, right? Let's talk about Clemson a little bit, man. They lose Brent Venables to Oklahoma, but they still got Dabo there, as the head coach. You still got my boy DJU. We'll see what he does. He had a rough year last year. DJ
Yeah.
Uyunglele had a rough year last year, man. But I expect him to bounce back, man. He's got great size, he's got good arm strength, he's got great mobility. But really, when it comes down to Clemson, it comes down to their defense, man. Brian Breesy, one of the best defensive tackles in the nation. Tyler
Hmm.
Davis, another DT. Miles Murphy, this kid is gonna be a star. 6'5", 275 defensive end. This kid is gonna be a monster. His first 2 seasons, he had 79 tackles, 11 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, 26 tackles for loss. Xavier Thomas is another guy, all ACC. And then just Sheridan Jones, another cornerback that's going to come out. So this team, man, this Clemson team is going to be really good defensively next year. It just comes out to the offense, right? Will Shipley, running the football. DJU, if he can, kind of bounce back and limit those turnovers next year. I think this team is a team that can remain in the top 4 for the whole season. I think they can run the table in the ACC.
Absolutely. I mean, they have all the pieces there. They got the coaching with Dabo, obviously. And honestly, I think DJ Ugalele's gonna bounce back this year. He's a smart young kid with all the talent to do so. He just got smacked in the mouth by Georgia that first game like no other. I mean, that's not an
And they
easy
can
one
never
to come
bounce
back
back
from.
from there.
I mean, they barely put up a field goal in that game.
you
And
know,
I mean, we were almost everybody was expecting that to be at least a couple more scores. And the fact that he got hit with that and struggled from there, he had a whole year to in the summer and spring ball to get things going again and get his swagger back. So I
mhm.
think he'll bounce back this year and help Clemson contend for the final playoff spot.
Yeah, no,
Between them and probably Oklahoma, maybe Utah will be up there again. So yeah, so Clemson, they got their work cut out for them. As I just mentioned, the ACC is going to be fairly strong, up in the top 4, top 5 teams there. So never count out a Dabo Sweeney defensive team. As we've seen
yeah.
over the years, they've always been strong. So
And then
it'll be
and then let's talk
fun to
about
watch.
let's talk about Georgia, the returning national champs.
Hmm.
They're in my top 4 too. I just think Alabama's going to come
Hmm.
back a little bit more talented than them. But when I look at Georgia, their defense is young. They got a lot. They had a lot of guys waiting in the wings. A lot of guys waiting in the wings. They got Jalen Carter's. He's gonna be a star next year in the interior line. Jalen Carter's gonna be a star next year for the Georgia Bulldogs. They got one of the best tight ends in Brock Byers. Brock Bowers. They still bringing back Stetson Bennett, Kaylee Ringo, cornerback. From them, he's a talented guy. Nolan Smith. I'm just naming defensive guys. Tyke Smith, another safety for them, hard hitting safety. Christopher Smith, another guy that has some corner skills that plays safety. I mean, they have some guys there in Georgia that are really, really good and talented there. So Georgia's a definitely team. Like, what do you think about Georgia here? And I'm gonna come off screen and let you talk a little bit.
All right. Um, Honestly, I could go either way with them, especially for the fact that they do have a big target on their back now after beating Alabama in the national championship. And Alabama obviously is Alabama. They're going to come out firing out of the gates, ready to go. But Georgia's going to be up there for pretty much most of the season, and I honestly think they'll lose probably maybe 2 games this year to fall out of the college football playoff picture by the end of the season, especially with what I just said, big target on their back. They're still going to have that strong units, both sides of the ball, especially with Bennett coming back, a strong defense, good run game again. So outside of that, in my top 4, I got Bama, Ohio State. I'm going to take Oklahoma and Clemson to squeak it out, with Georgia, Utah, and Michigan rounding out the dark horses just outside the college football playoff there.
Yeah, no, man. I honestly think that Georgia's probably going to have. Whew, let me look at their schedule, man. And we could probably get into some of this, next year. When we go into a little bit more depth, maybe, in the next show or whatnot. But I think I got them winning, losing at least 2 games. One at least to Bama. At least, and I'm not sure if they're playing. If the Georgia Bulldogs are playing Texas A&M, but that's a game that they could lose.
I have them losing to Tennessee too.
No, you got them losing to
Tennessee's
Tennessee.
They're gonna. Yep.
Yeah, no, I think when I look at Georgia, let's look at their schedule. They got to start the season. They start the season playing against Oregon. That's going to be a tough game. I got them beating the smithereens out of Oregon. They play.
They're going to handle that game really well.
Games.
Yeah, they'll handle that Oregon game pretty well. Oregon is Oregon.
Yeah, but
to say the least, they'll go into the fight up, but Georgia will control it at the end.
They don't have to worry about Texas A&M or Alabama, and I don't think Texas A&M is going to beat Bama or even get into the SEC championship game. But I got Georgia, probably making it back to the SEC championship game and maybe losing to Bama and maybe being in the CFP again. Who knows? It just depends on what these other teams are going to do. I for sure definitely got Ohio State in it. I definitely got Ohio State.
I don't see Ohio State going down
when it comes, but some of these games are losable for Georgia. I mean, Florida's a losable game. Kentucky's a losable game, but for the most part, this schedule that they have is very easy. Very easy schedule.
For an SEC team, absolutely.
Yeah, this schedule that they have is very easy. I mean, playing at South Carolina early with Spencer Rattler there, that might be a tough game right there to win. But I just don't see it. I don't see, South Carolina, upending Georgia, or early on in the season. I just don't see it. So that's just something for me to see. And then when I look at a team like Ohio State, we mentioned it, CJ Stroud, they got a bunch of guys coming back. And then Bama, Bama for sure. I mean, looking at Bama, Will Anderson is, is probably the best player in college football. He's the most talented player in college. Probably going to be the number 1 overall pick next year. This kid is phenomenal. 6'4", 243 pounds. He was probably the most dominant player in college football last season. Won the Nagurski Award. He made 102 tackles. 17. He had 17 and a half sacks. 17 and a half sacks. 17 and a half sacks, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, that's saying something for a college football player. Okay, he had 17 and a half sacks, 34 and a half tackles for loss with three broken up passes last year as a true sophomore. Okay, and then as a freshman, he had 52 with 7 sacks and 10 and a half tackles with a forced fumble. This kid has been the most dominant football in college football for the last 2 years. Okay,
this kid is amazing. Okay. And he's on some people's top 5 Heisman right now, and you don't ever see that usually with defensive players.
He had 17 and a half sacks last season, right? I predict Will Anderson to break the single season sack record in college football. I don't even know what it is. Let me look it up.
24 and a half.
Is it what?
Think. 24 and a half maybe by Terrell Suggs.
Is it that? Let me see. Is it
Terrell Suggs had like 2 a game.
Is it no? Oh, it's Let me see in college football here. Let me look it
I
up.
know Suggs had right around that, and it was top.
24 sacks by Terrell Suggs. You're right.
Yeah, 24. Okay.
You're right. Good. Matt James coming up with the stats. Coming up
Sun
with the
Devil.
stats. Terrell Suggs broke the single season sack record. He has a sack record. He got it in 2002 with 24 sacks. I expect Will Anderson to break that record this season. I expect him to break the record this season. I don't think it's an untouchable record. He had 17 and a half sacks last season. I think Will Anderson can break that record this season. And if he does, he better be invited to New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony. He may not win it, but he better be invited if he breaks the
Oh,
single season sack
dude,
record and has over 100 tackles.
if he
Okay?
breaks it, he's got a spot going to New York.
I mean, and that's saying something. Will Anderson is the best player on his team, and there's Bryce Young still there. You got Jordan Battle, Henry Totu. I mean, they got stars all over the field in
Dude, in the
Alabama. They're
SEC.
my easy, clear-cut number one. I mean, Jordan Totu, however you pronounce his name. I'm sorry, young man, but this kid's gonna be the next great linebacker coming from Alabama. Okay, this kid's good. Eli Ricks. Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs, running back. He's gonna be the. He was man. Look, man. This kid's a transfer. This kid's a transfer from Georgia Tech, from last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he ran over
Hey.
1,200 yards. He's a great kick returner. This kid's an ace in the special teams. Watch out for him. And then the tight end Cameron Lotz. I mean, they got stars all over the field at Alabama, man. So watch out for Bama next year. They're my clear-cut number one. But anyways, that is our top 25 right here. Moving on to our conference predictions, and this is the part of the show where we're gonna go through every single conference, and we're gonna look at who's probably gonna win every single conference. And I'll start first. And Let's
go.
I'll start with the American Athletic Conference. I'm gonna go with this winner. I'm gonna actually go with the Houston Cougars to win that conference this year. Who do you got?
I agree with you. Houston's going to bring back another strong team after a very good 12-win season last year. And I have them over Cincinnati this year. As I mentioned earlier, it's going to be a huge void to fill with Ritter being gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. So we're on the same wavelength. I think Houston's going to win that. And then the ACCs, we're starting in from numerical, alphabetical order. Then the ACC, who do you got winning that division?
I want to say NC State, but I'm going to go with Clemson.
I'm actually going to go with the Clemson Tigers.
Player.
They have an amazing defense this year.
Yep.
They're pretty stacked. Yeah, the Clemson Tigers are pretty stacked this year. If I got to pick a team that may be, and I mean, you're saying NC State, that's if like Clemson falls off a little bit because they play on the same side.
Well, yeah, I mean, I believe they play each other. If whoever wins that game, I have winning the conference.
Yeah, and I'm actually gonna go with the Clemson Tigers and the Miami Hurricanes playing in the ACC championship game, and I actually got the Clemson Tigers in that division. But they by far play in the harder side of the division in the Atlantic. Clemson has Florida State, they got Louisville, they got NC State, they got Syracuse, they got Wake Forest. All of those, even Boston College, all of those teams should make a bowl game. And at least I would say Wake Forest is going to be ranked. NC State's going to be ranked. Louisville might be ranked, and Florida State might be ranked by the end of the year.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I think they play in the harder side of the conference there. Moving on to the Big 12. Who got one in the Big 12 this year?
Give me Oklahoma, especially with that defense they got. I think they'll be able to slow down BJ Robinson just enough to take that game. Last year was a pretty wild matchup there, but expect a little bit more. It's the Red River Classic. I have Oklahoma coming out, winning that one.
Yeah, I expect Oklahoma. They have the better team, but Texas is right there, in my opinion. Give me and Oklahoma State and Baylor. I mean, they have a good. The Big 12 is probably going to have at least. Baylor's going to be ranked. Oklahoma's going to be ranked. Oklahoma State's going to be ranked. Texas is going to be ranked. TCU may be ranked. But I'm actually going to go with Oklahoma. Oklahoma's going to win that Big 12 this year. But Texas is right behind them. Second favorite out of that conference to win. I think Bijan Robinson is going to have another special year this year. He's gone after this year. He's going to the NFL. He'll probably be a top 15 pick, top 10 pick next year, being touted as the next Reggie Bush, right? Big Ten Conference. I'll go first. I got Ohio State winning this conference. They play in the harder side of the conference, right? They got Penn State, they got Michigan, they got Michigan State, all heavy hitters in that conference. But I think Ohio State is the best team out of that conference bar none, by far. And if I had to take a peek at who they're gonna face in the Big Ten, and I don't even think they play a Big Ten championship. I don't even think they do sides anymore in the Big Ten championship. I think it's gonna be whoever has the best record in the Big Ten championship, if I'm not mistaken. So if I had to pick who might they face in the Big Ten championship, I'll probably go with Michigan, maybe. I don't know, man. We'll see. But I got the Ohio State Buckeyes winning that conference. Who do you got?
Yeah, I agree with you. That offense is way too good to slow down. I mean, the only way they'll slow down is if they fall asleep themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, way too many playmakers on that offense. I got Ohio State winning outright, both the regular season and the conference championship there. And did they actually switch that up already?
The rumor, I don't think they have. I think they've been talking about it.
I mean, then I'll have them beating Wisconsin.
Yeah, I think I heard them talking. I think I heard them talking about it. I don't know if they have done that. They didn't officially do that this year. They might be waving that off until
I think they're waving it until the LA teams go.
Yeah. I think they were talking about it seriously though. Over this past summer, to see if they were gonna eliminate the divisions in the Big Ten. But yeah, anyways, I got Ohio State winning anyways, coming out of that division. And then in the Conference USA, I'll go first. I got the UAB Blazers winning the Conference USA championship. They are one of the best. I think we saw UTSA was pretty good last season, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Roadrunners, if I'm not mistaken, they're joining the AAC in 2023. But yeah, I think the UTSA was one of the teams that kind of shocked people last year when it came down to this division. But I got the UAB Blazers winning this division.
I like that pick, but I'm gonna go with the Roadrunners again. Gotta love that kind of mascot there, dude. So even though UAB's got a dragon, so with the Blazers, but I'm gonna take Texas San Antonio again to win that. It's gonna be actually pretty fun to watch going down the stretch there for the Conference USA.
UTSA did win the Conference USA last year. They beat Western Kentucky last season, but I actually got the UAB Blazers winning the conference this season. And then moving forward, we got I had my conference standings up. I don't know why it just went away here. But I got the we got the MAC. A little bit of MAC coming out here.
Yeah, baby.
MAC this season. Last year it was the NIU Huskies. They won third year under Coach Hammock. He won the MAC last year. Hell of a win last year. I think it came down to the wire there last season in the MAC championship game. Who do you got winning at that conference?
I'm going to take Miami, Ohio to win the East, and homecoming this year.
Toledo.
We might actually try to do a live show at Northern to go to it with NIU and Toledo. And I do honestly believe whoever wins that game will be obvious front runners at that point, I believe, and will win the conference. Northern being a home game, homecoming. Give me NIU to squeak out the West and win actually the MAC overall this year again. Toledo's going to be tough.
I'm actually
Toledo's going to be
going
tough.
to go. I am actually going to go with the Toledo Rockets to win the MAC this year. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going against my alma mater this year. I think Toledo's a little bit better than Northern Illinois this year. I got Toledo, actually beating NIU homecoming. I got Toledo winning the MAC this year. I got Toledo winning the MAC.
I guess change the plans for you.
Yeah, if I had to pick the East, I'll go with if I had to pick an East winner, godly, I'll go with the I'll go with the I'll go with Akron. How about that? I'll go with Akron.
You're predicted to win 2, maybe 3 games.
Yeah, and it's crazy because NIU went from worst to first last season, and it's crazy. But I think Akron on the other side is going to shock some people next year. I think Akron on the other side is going to shock some people next year. Yeah,
dude, I bet you
it'll be crazy. It'll be crazy. And Akron was the worst team. I think Akron was probably one of the worst teams in the MAC last year. I think they're gonna have an NIU type of season next year. I see it.
I don't see it. I don't.
He said, "I don't see it," but also I can see realistically, I can see Kent State or Miami of Ohio coming out of that side. Yeah, I could see. Yeah, Akron or Miami, Ohio.
It's going to be big for them, but I do see them giving Miami of Ohio some problems there towards the end of the conference standings or up top there.
In the MAC West has, it's going to come down to the wire. It's going to be NIU.
Michigan's going to be there. Western might be there.
Yeah. That's gonna be
Eastern.
That's gonna be a solid conferences. That side of the conference. So, and then watch out for Central Michigan too. They're always sneaky good as well.
Absolutely.
So that MAC West is always good, man. That MAC West is tough, man. That MAC West is tough. And then moving on to the
MAC West is a tough one to predict.
Yeah, that's a definitely tough one to predict. And then moving over to the Mountain West Conference. Who do you got winning the Mountain West?
I got Fresno out of the West. And I want to say Air Force, but I'm going Boise State out of the other side here. And Fresno overall.
Yeah, I'm actually
Fresno State's going to take it.
Yeah, Jake Hanner's back in Fresno. He was the starting quarterback last year. He was like a Heisman kind of candidate somewhat mid-season in a way. I think he comes back. He's tough as nails, man. He had a big win against UCLA that messed up my parlay last year. But anyways, Hayner's a hell of a quarterback, man. I think Fresno State gets it done this year in that conference. If I had to pick the other side, Boise State would be my pick. But watch out for Air Force. And then on the other side with Fresno State, watch out for San Diego State. They're probably the second best team on that side of the coin. So, but I got Fresno State winning it all. Moving on to the Pac-12. This is Matt's expertise with his Arizona State Sun Devils. Who do you got winning the Pac-12 this year?
Arizona State is not going to win it. I'm not even going to go that direction. I'm going to take Utah to win it this year over Oregon.
I'm actually gonna go with SC winning the Pac-12 this year. I think
Yeah,
Lincoln
I
Riley's gonna
wanted
turn that football team
to say
around.
SC, but that defense scares me.
Yeah, no, the defense. Yeah, USC's defense is a little. The back end of that defense is a little shaky, but I love their front seven. I think Utah has a more solid all around, better defense, and they're bringing back Cameron Rising too, their quarterback as
Mhm.
well, that played really well last year. So Utah is definitely a team to watch out for. I think Oregon does not make the Pac-12 championship this year.
Hmm.
I think SC does make the Pac-12 championship, and I think SC does win the Pac-12 championship game this year because their offense will be dynamite this year under Lincoln Riley. And then moving over to the big boys, the kings of the college football landscape, the SEC. Who do you got winning the SEC this year?
Bama.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna
nobody's
say
gonna
it.
beat Bama. If
I'm
anybody's gonna beat
gonna take
Bama, I mean
Alabama
it's
and
gonna be
give me.
Georgia.
I'm gonna take. Yeah, give me Georgia. I was
It's gonna
gonna
be
say
between Georgia and
Kentucky
Bama, but
maybe,
Bama's gonna win it.
but Georgia is gonna be still level above everybody else out east.
Mm-hmm.
So Alabama's gonna beat Georgia this time and knock them out of the college football playoff.
Oh yeah. I think Bama will knock them out the college football playoff as well. I think they do win. I think they do win that division easily, hands down. Godly, I had some. It's funny because I'm looking at the schedule of somebody that predicted Bama. Made the predictions schedule, and they had them losing to Ole Miss in that
Huh?
November 12th game. I'm like, what? You're gonna have them lose to Ole Miss? That's a hell to the no. I got Alabama, but they do play a tough schedule. I mean, Arkansas is gonna be a very tough team to play this year. I did mention their Lane Godly. Um, Arkansas is gonna be a tough team to play. Sam Pittman is in her third year right there, man. He's turned that program around a bit, and I think, man, KJ Jefferson last year, he turned into a star last year, man. And he improved as much of as a passer, especially as a red zone threat. And I do compare him a little bit to Cam Newton. I mean, he has some Cam Newton like abilities.
Mm.
Big, 6'3", 245 pounds. He's a hell of a rushing threat. He had 6 scores, 664 yards. I mean, he threw for 60. He completed 67% of his passes last year, threw 21 touchdowns. But he is losing some talent. Treylon Burks, who is in the NFL now, so it is gonna be a little bit it's gonna be a little bit of stress. But he is getting a transfer from Oklahoma, in Jaden Hazelwood. So he's got a couple nice deep threats there, there at Arkansas. But I got Alabama winning that conference. It's going to be between them and Georgia, and I got them knocking out Georgia. Moving over to the Sun Belt Conference. Who do you got winning the Sun Belt Conference
I
this
got
year, Matt?
Raging Cajuns out of Louisiana Lafayette taking it over Appalachian State.
Ooh.
I want to say Coastal, but I'm going to say App State's going to win the East.
Mmm. All right. So I actually am gonna say that Louisiana is definitely gonna win the West. I think they're the best team in the West. I think Coastal Carolina is gonna be between Coastal Carolina and App State to win the East, but I think Coastal Carolina gets it done. I got Coastal Carolina. I can't bet against Coastal Carolina, man.
All
I can't bet
right.
against Coastal Carolina. I got them winning the Sun Belt again this year. I got Coastal Carolina winning the Sun Belt this year. Um, and that's yeah, I got Coastal Carolina winning the Sun Belt this year. I can't bet against Coastal Carolina. I can't bet against Coastal Carolina. Just can't do it. Just can't do it. Anyways, moving on to our next segment, and that is our Prime Sports Grill Heisman candidates. And this is the early Heisman candidate list, right? These are guys that I comprise of a list Matt probably has his own list as well. I didn't put his list up there, but this is my list for Prime Sports World. Um, these are my candidates, and this is all in order right here. Number one, C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. The kid's amazing, probably the best quarterback. However, how you spin it, C.J. Stroud is your number one Heisman candidate this year. At number two, you got Bryce Young. Bryce Young is your number two Heisman candidate, Alabama. This kid is flat out amazing as well. However you want to spin it, he's probably the best quarterback coming out. But C.J. Stroud has more size than him. I think he has more an arm strength. But Bryce Young is the best quarterback that, in my opinion, that Nick Saban's ever had. In my opinion, I think Bryce Young can really spin it. He's better than Tua. He's better than McCarron. He's better than Jamarcus Russell. And I don't know if Nick Saban coached Jamarcus Russell. I don't think he did coach Jamarcus Russell in LSU. But if he did, then this kid's better than Jamarcus Russell, in my opinion. Anyways, at number three, Caleb Williams from USC. This kid has been a Heisman candidate probably since midseason last season, and after he took over from Texas. I mean, this kid's amazing. He can really spin it. He's dynamic. He can get out the pocket. He can run. He can do everything. He can do it all. SC's going to have a big season because of this kid. Caleb Williams is your number three Heisman candidate on my list. And then at number four, Bijan Robinson. And when it's all said and done, I think Bijan Robinson will actually move up ahead of Caleb Williams when it's all said and done. And he actually has the opportunity to probably move up ahead of all these guys if he has an incredible year at Texas, wins the Big 12, possibly puts his team in a position to make the college football playoff. Possibly. I don't know. I don't see it. But Bijan Robinson is definitely a Heisman candidate right outside the gate. He's the most dynamic running back, offensive player, probably one of the best college football players in the nation. And then number five, Dylan Gabriel, quarterback out of Oklahoma. We mentioned it before, transferred UCF. He's a two-time All-American. This kid can really spin it. Give me Dylan Gabriel actually to be my fifth guy as a Heisman candidate. And then my dark horses are going to be Jackson Smith-Njigba from Ohio State. This kid's probably the best wide receiver in the nation. Give me Jackson Smith-Njigba. And then Will Anderson. We mentioned him earlier. Will Anderson. I predict Will Anderson to break the single-season sack record. And if he does, he better get an invite to New York City. He better get an invite to New York City for the Heisman candidate ceremony. If he doesn't win it, that's cool. As long as he gets invited, because he's going to break the single-season sack record this year. I'm calling it right
now. Yeah, for the most part, I agree with your top three. I might actually straight up throw Bijan Robinson in that mix at the number three slot. As I actually don't have Will Anderson breaking the record. He will come a few sacks short, around 20 to 21. He will, I still think, improve as a player and be the top defensive player in next year's draft. He might be a Chicago Bear. You never know with the Roquan situation going on here. We might need a linebacker next year. That's for the NFL talk. I got Stroud. I got Young. Throw in Smith and Njigba, which I actually said his name wrong earlier and do apologize for that. And a couple of dark horses. I got Hendon Hooker out of Tennessee. As I mentioned, he'll help Tennessee get into, I believe, a top 15 spot at some point this season. Dylan Gabriel to help Oklahoma win the Big 12. And give me DJU to be one of the comeback players of the year, helping Miami make some noise out in the ACC and giving Clemson some, or not Clemson, giving Clemson the conference and a spot in the college football playoff.
Yeah, I like DJU to have a bounce back season. I don't know if he's gonna have a Heisman candidate. I don't think he might.
Dark horse. I mean, he'll be outside of it. I mean,
he might be outside of it. What about Will Levis from Kentucky? Do you think he has a chance? I think
absolutely.
Yeah.
Him. I mean, Slovis going to Pittsburgh. You got
Yeah,
Um,
Caden Slovis. Yep. Mm-hmm.
you got
And then
Hartman. I mean, you got quarterbacks
you got
galore out in the
quarterbacks galore
ACC
this
right
year,
now.
man. What about Spencer Rattler making a change to South Carolina? Does he have a
If
shot?
if
Maybe.
he can, honestly, he obviously has all the talent in the world. If he can improve his ego, he can help South Carolina wreak some havoc in the SEC. I'm not saying they're gonna, contend for a top 10 spot or anything, but they'll give some of those top teams some trouble.
What about Richardson? Richardson from Florida. He's another guy, right?
Um, that's a hit or miss, to be
Yeah,
honest.
me. Yeah, yeah. I
Florida, you
think so
never know
too.
what's going to happen. So
He's
they've been
talented
so up
though.
and down the last several years. So you never know what they're is going to happen with them. They got a very good test early on with Utah coming into town. So we'll
Mm-hmm.
see how good he is and how good the Florida program is in 2022.
Yeah, definitely, man. I agree. And then our last segment, Prime Sports World college football playoff predictions. Give me, quick burner style. Who your top four teams that you think are going to end in the college football playoff this year?
I know I've been going a little all over the place with this, but here it goes. I got we want to go 4 through 1, then dark horses.
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. I can go a few different ways with this. All right. Number 4, give me Oklahoma. As I said before, I believe their defense is going to help them get into it. And give me Clemson at 3, Ohio State at 2, Alabama at 1. Then some dark horses. Watch out for Utah is going to be one of them. We'll see how Notre Dame does. You're Irish.
Yeah.
Who else
So
did I mention? I had a couple other ones, but NC State. I mean, they could uh, cause some problems. See if Oregon can take the next step up. Houston will be that group of 5 team that could be this year's Cincinnati, but I feel like they won't, cause too much of a noise here. So, kind of
yeah,
just trying to lead off here. So
starting
those,
at
watch
starting at
out for
number
those
four for
teams.
me.
And I
Starting at
got
number four for
give
me.
me Alabama or Ohio State winning over Alabama this year.
So win the national title.
Win it all.
Ooh.
Yeah.
At number 4, I got the University of Southern California Trojans. I know they're ranked in the middle of the pack on my rankings, my top 25. But I think the USC Trojans are going to be in the top 4 when it's all said and done. I think they can go undefeated this year. I think they can. They have a very big chance at going undefeated. And I have to look at what their schedule is.
Undefeated
Like,
Caleb
I looked
Williams.
at it. I think they
That
can go undefeated.
person.
Yeah, from when I looked at it, they got a game in October against Utah at Utah, and then they play Notre Dame at the end of the season, which is going to be 2 big games for them. Fresno State's going to be a tough game early on in the season, but I think USC's got them. I think USC's got them. I don't think UCLA's going to be as good as they were last season. I think USC's got them. I think USC has the opportunity to run the table. I think if they can beat Utah, it's down here from there, and then all they got to do is beat Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame and USC are going to actually play for maybe that last spot. Because I got Notre Dame is like on the outside looking in, probably like 5, 6, 7 range right there. I think that game's going to be big, but I got USC beating Notre Dame. It's hard for me to say that, but I got USC beating Notre Dame because they're playing at home. That game's going to be at home in Southern California. At number 3, I got Clemson. I think Clemson's going to run the table in the ACC. I think DJ Ugalele is going to be he's going to have a bounce back year. I think that defense is going to be special this year. Give me Clemson to be the 3rd team, and then my last 2 teams at number 2, I got Ohio State, and then I got Bama as my number one team in the college football playoff. And on the outside looking in, I go 5, 6, 7. At 5, I'll go Georgia. 6, I go Notre Dame. 7, I'll go Oklahoma. And
Okay.
that's my outside looking in right there.
I can see that.
Yeah. So yeah, mark it and stamp it, guys. That's what our college football playoff predictions is. And everybody, it's been a great hell of a show with Matt James here. Previewing. We'll come back here. I believe David and TJ might come back here with the crossover or come back here Monday. I don't know if they're doing a show tomorrow, but definitely Monday they'll be back here with the more NFL predictions here on the Prime. And everybody, please go ahead, like, share, and subscribe, and go ahead and drop a link. Go ahead and drop your comments in the comment section who you think is going to win the college football playoff national championship this year, and maybe a list of your Heisman candidates. Didn't drop the link to the show this time around. My apologies, everybody. But thanks for everybody who did engage in the show. I do appreciate it. But anyways, go ahead and please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And everybody here at the Prime knows that we bring the heat. That James 24/7. Bring the heat. 5, 6 days a week, we go live here on social media. And everybody, do not miss a show because we are coming all season long here at Prime Sports World again. I'm your host, Israel Rivera. That's been Matt James. And everybody, you guys have a great weekend and drink responsibly, man.
Absolutely.
Peace out, guys.